Hey, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday night comic book preview stream here at Fantasy Books and Games. I'm Aaron. This is Sam. And I don't know if you were watching last week. You weren't on the stream last week, Sam, but I'm feeling a lot better this week than I was last week. I was really struggling to get through the whole hour of talking nonstop because we love Susie, but she didn't have a lot to say about a lot of the books. So I do all the heavy lifting when I'm around Susie most of the time. And see, I can say this because I know she's not watching the stream right now. So, but yeah, we're here to talk about some new comics that are coming out tomorrow. Not as big of a release week as the past couple of weeks. I feel like they were really big the last 2 weeks, but there's still some like choice books coming out, that some stuff that I'm really excited about. So yeah, we'll just do what we do and jump right into it. I always like to start with the facsimile
Of
reprints,
course, yes.
and there's actually a pretty cool one coming out tomorrow. This is More Fun Comics number 73. This book is from 1941. And this is, you can't tell from the cover, but this is the first appearance of, I believe, Aquaman is in here,
Oh wow.
and Green Arrow. Yeah, it's the first appearance of Green Arrow and Speedy, and also Aquaman, who's in here somewhere. But this is back when Golden Age comics were big. They're like basically double sized comics. There's an ad for Superman, the Spectre, got a Spectre story in there.
How many pages do you
Uh,
think that is?
I you know what, I didn't count, but I think these were like 60 to 80 pages.
Oh my
I feel
god.
like. There it is, Aquaman. This is the first Aquaman comic. So yeah, and once again, I say this all the time, but like the quality of DC's reprints are just beautiful. Like this paper is, it's like newsprint. The colors look great. Like it looks the way the comic originally looked. Just really really cool stuff. So Golden Age comics, they're uh, oops, I clicked the wrong button there. Golden Age comics are a lot of fun, is what I was trying to say. So yeah, and with this one, you can have more fun. That's the name of the title, More Fun Comics. So yeah, we're very excited about that. There's also a couple of collected editions, trade paperbacks coming out tomorrow. There's one that's new and one that's not that I want to talk about. The new one is, it's Jeff Verse.
Yay.
Jeff is kind of having a moment right now, isn't
Yes.
he? Is it from that video game
It's
that
from Marvel Rivals.
Marvel Rivals?
That
Thank you.
video
That
game.
video that video game. I'm sorry. I don't play video games that much. But yeah, Jeff. This collects the 3 issues, I believe, of the Jeff Verse comics that have come out, and they're illustrated by Girahiru. Actually, I think no, they're a lot of them are written by Kelly Thompson, but they're just they're fun little like comic strip type stories, just about Jeff being silly and getting into shenanigans and being cute, and very very popular. Yeah, yeehaw, Jeff. So I am glad though that Marvel finally. I feel like it took them too long
It's been a
to
while.
like
Yeah.
get this in print, because like we've had people coming into the store asking for Jeff comics, and first of all, I have to explain to them that Jeff has only been around for a few years, and there's actually only like 4 comics, that he's in. But yeah, so it's really cool that they're finally getting this collected edition out. So if you've been playing Marvel Rivals, and you want more Jeff, this is where you get it, more Jeff. And there is a new Jeff series coming out later this summer. I don't remember if it's next month or a little ways off, but it's not too long. So there's that Marvel is like doing its own 5 issue Jeff series. So before that comes out, you can get caught up with that. Also coming out tomorrow, one of my all-time favorite comic books, definitely published by Marvel, maybe even just one of my all-time favorite comic books, and that is Earth X getting a new printing. We just got this in stock. Sam, have you read Earth
I
X before?
I have not.
Oh my God, Earth X is so like, if I can be real for a second.
Okay.
I know I'm normally like, I have a face that I put up for the cameras, but like, I'm just gonna be real with you, Sam. When I was a kid, I read a lot of comic books, and then when I became a teenager, I stopped reading comics because comics are for kids. They're stupid and lame. And then when I got to be a little bit older of a teenager, I realized comic books were actually kind of cool again. And this was one of the books that brought me back into reading comics
Okay.
because it was like the first time I really experienced a I don't know, like a mature storytelling in a Marvel comic. And so this is what could essentially be, it's not really a what if, like Marvel has what if, but DC has Elseworlds. And this is kind of like a Marvel Elseworld story. It is, I think a lot of the idea was created by Alex Ross, who did all the covers for it, and is written by Jim Kruger. And the art is by the late, great John Paul Leon. I was reading the credits off there, but I realized it wasn't showing up on camera. And this is just a really cool alternate Marvel Universe story. But I think this was one of the first stories. This came out in the late 80s, I want to say, or late 80s, late 90s, like 98, 99, maybe somewhere in there. I'd have to
Okay.
double check. And it was one of the first attempts to kind of like really tie every little bit of Marvel continuity together
Mhm.
in a post-apocalyptic setting. So you could kind of consider like at this story was written in the late 90s, and this is sort of like what would be the end of the Marvel universe from everything that happened up until that point. So it's like an alternate future where like a new supervillain has shown up and kind of taken over the world, like actually, like he has mind control powers.
Oh.
And the story opens with Machine Man, who's the new Watcher. Uatu, the Watcher, has tasked him with just watching Earth and monitoring everything. And like Captain America is this like the last piece of America standing, like the country doesn't exist anymore. And he's just this like old man with an A carved into his head. And Hydra is like a literal Hydra, as you can see.
Oh.
And so all the characters are kind of like mutated and changed. Iron Man is like a Howard Hughes like germaphobe who just like lives in his chamber, and he has Iron Man robots that like he sends out to do stuff. It's really cool, and I like I said, it's just it's one of my favorite books ever made. It's just one of those like I said, I don't know. It was like a that period of comic book history where there was a real big push to kind of step away from the more kid friendly aspects of comic books, and there was that big push to like make comics mature and make them for adults. And this definitely is one of those books that falls in line with that. So, and it's like there's a lot of books, of course, that were doing it beforehand. One of my all-time favorite comics, Astro City, was
Mhm.
doing it. All of Alan Moore's stuff, of course, like Watchmen predates this by 15 years,
Right.
maybe 10 years at least. But this was, I think, the first one of the earliest examples of Marvel kind of getting in on that. And yeah, just it's really good. Highly recommend it. Also coming out tomorrow. So you should read it. If
Yeah.
you haven't read it, I do recommend it. Coming out tomorrow, another new book that we just got in, going in the opposite direction of comics that are mature and written for older people. We have the Uncanny X-Men: Days of Future Fun, and this is by a cartoonist that I really like called named Jeffrey Brown, and he does a series of books. He does a lot of these like all ages comics. He does a series of Star Wars ones that are very similar to this, where it's like they're just like kind of like slice of life comics. Actually, not too dissimilar from the Jeff comics that we just showed off, and they're just like fun little comic stories, like Shadowcat putting magnets on Colossus, and uh, like
Eh.
them in school. Wolverine, stay out of my head, Prof. You too, Gene. You don't want to see what I'm thinking about right now. And it's Wolverine on a unicorn with rain. It's funny. It's cute. The real like it's a pretty light read. Obviously, it's like it's definitely geared toward kids, but the real charm of this, I think, comes from Jeffrey Brown's art. I'm just a huge fan of his cartooning, and he has a lot of fun with this setting of like the X Men are all like more kids rather than adults as they were in the original comics, and Professor X is their teacher. So it's just like kids in school. Although I gotta say, I didn't intentionally flip to this page, but I'm pretty confident that Jeffrey Brown did read X Men comics in the '80s. I think, but I gotta take him to task on this. He's got this little comic here where Cyclops, you know exactly
was
what I'm
just
gonna
thinking
say. Cyclops is using his laser beams to like heat up stuff, and I'm sorry, Jeffrey, but all good X-Men fans know Cyclops eye beams are not heat lasers; they're force beams.
Right.
They just like blast stuff and break them up or like smash them. It's not like Superman's heat vision. So I don't know. Maybe I can't recommend this book now because of that.
He's got the fastball special though.
Yeah, oh, that's true. They do
Yeah.
the fastball special, and it's very cute to get a cat out of a tree. So I'm just teasing. Well, I won't lie. It does bug me, but I can get over it. But yeah, it's a really good book. I like it. Like fun little danger room sequence. I also really like that it's clearly the '80s version of the characters. And I kind of like his design for Rogue here, where she's got the short hair, but she's got a little bit of a tomboy thing going on, which is, I don't know. It's just a fun interpretation of the character. So definitely recommend this. And when I saw this book coming out, I got really excited because Jeffrey Brown, I'm a big fan of his, and him drawing the X-Men is fun. And this is actually not the first time I've read a Jeffrey Brown X-Men comic. He's drawn the X-Men before in this book that actually I have referenced, I don't know, maybe once a month we talk about this comic. It is Strange Tales, and this is Strange Tales Volume 2. This came out in 2009, maybe 2010-ish, somewhere in there. And this was an anthology series that Marvel did with a bunch of like alternative or independent comic book creators. And I got this bookmark. I'm going to open right up to this comic that he did. Like here, right, you can see this other comic here is by Love and Rockets, the Hernandez, yeah, I believe. And then you have this X-Men by Jeffrey Brown here, and it's just like kind of a fun little slice of life story about Cyclops having relationship troubles and not having anybody to talk to. Like he can't talk to Wolverine about Jean Grey because Wolverine loves Jean Grey, and Professor X is like, I don't have time for this, and so he mind controls Cyclops to leave him alone. And like they fight a Sentinel. It's just like a little 2-page story, but it's really good. And he also does a comic in Volume 1 about the Fantastic Four that's really good. But I think I talked about this. Was it last week? It was probably one that you weren't
it was
on.
Like 2 weeks.
Oh,
ago,
maybe.
I feel
Okay,
like.
yeah. Because I know I've talked about the Paul Mayberry Spider-Man comic, which is one of my favorite comics of all time, and that's in this one, where Aunt May thinks that Mary Jane is physically abusing Peter because he's always got like bruises on him, but he won't tell her why because he's Spider-Man and he's trying to protect his secret identity, and so she thinks that he doesn't want to admit that Mary Jane's beating him, which is really good. But yeah, so Uncanny X-Men, Days of Future Fun. Definitely recommended for your kids and adults with a little kid in them. That sounded weird.
Yeah.
All right. Also coming out tomorrow, a collected edition. Before we get to the single issues, another book that I was excited to read: Stan versus Jack: How to Feud the Marvel Way. This is by cartoonist Barry Tan, published by Cosmic Lion Productions, an independent indie comic book publisher. And this is, I mean, it's pretty. If you're familiar with Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, you probably kind of already know the contents of this book. But I enjoyed reading this. The cartooning is really nice. It's cool to see Barry's art, and it's basically just like a little essay that he wrote, just kind of detailing the history of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and their contributions to comics, and kind of the. It's not really about them per se. Let me get that back in camera. Um, does it spill the tea? Not really, because there are other books that do that, and I don't think he wants to spend time like trying to verify and like because a lot of this is like a he said she said kind of a thing. We have Jack's account, we have Stan's account, and if you're curious about that, I do actually. There's a lot of good books. There is the novel, the untold. Is it the oh shoot the is it the Untold History of Marvel Comics? That's a really good one. And then there's 2 graphic novels that Tom Scioli did. One about Jack Kirby and one about Stan Lee, and they're both really good.
Both of
and
those
they, yeah, did you read those?
Both of those
Yeah,
are excellent.
they're really good, and they really kind of go into details because both of them are from like the perspective of the subject of the biography. So it's like in the Stan book you get Stan's perspective, and in the Jack book you get Jack's perspective. It's really good. This one is more about it's just kind of like Barry Tan, like writing a little essay just about how their reputations have evolved over time, which I kind of appreciated. And he just kind of details like what they did at Marvel and how in Stan's lifetime he was kind of lauded as the main creator, and Jack, kind of got largely ignored, and just how over time that's kind of changed. And now after Jack passed, um, perception kind of changed on Stan Lee. Like he uses this as an example. Do you think Stan and the other creators drama are beginning to overshadow their own creations? That's a good question. I don't think so, because I think there's always going to be people that don't really care. They're just still going to like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But like here's an example. He kind of uses a quote from Kevin Smith from 1998, where Kevin doesn't really seem to know or care much about Jack Kirby. And then a quote in 2017 where he's like, "Oh, you can't talk about comics without mentioning Jack Kirby," and it's just like, yeah, perceptions change over time. But yeah, it's really good. It's more or less like just kind of about how I think in the artist community, in the comics community, the perception has kind of changed to like really hate on Stan
Yeah.
and laud Jack as like the end all be all who did everything. And Barry's actually, it feels like he's kind of going out of his way a little bit to say like, like they both contributed something, they both had flaws, but like just because maybe Stan didn't do as much as he claimed he did doesn't mean he did nothing, and he
Right.
still did something that's really important. And you know they were both they both worked together to create this weird thing. I think he has a good quote in here. I don't know if it's by him, but it's in his book, where he said, the Marvel comics of the 60s was catching lightning in a bottle. Jack Kirby was the lightning bolt and Stan was the bottle. And I'm like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense.
That does.
So yeah, but if I do recommend this book if you're like I'm a big Marvel guy, and I really like the history, and I really like both Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, so I'm pretty much always going to read something that's about them. And yeah, it's really good. All right, let's have you talk about something here, Sam.
Okay. Let's see here. I read, I believe, what's going to be the final issue of NYX.
Oh, NYX. Okay.
Yeah.
Is the final issue really? Oh, it's
I know
issue
they
10.
canceled it.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Mhm.
I got to be honest. That shouldn't come as a surprise to me because I haven't been reading it or paying attention to it, which is usually a sign that if I don't know anything about it, then that sounds a little too egotistical. That's not the way I mean it. I just like I just haven't really been following it at all. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it either,
Yeah.
like readers and stuff. Is
I
really
don't.
what I mean.
Between the two stores that I work at here and the Belleville store, like there are not a lot of readers of it.
Okay.
I'm pretty much just reading it because I like Miss Marvel a lot.
Here, let me put it on the camera.
Yeah. So it wrapped up the story pretty decently. It was a good send off, I think, to the title. And then it has promises of more to come in what's going to be, I think, the next giant size X-Men #1.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I did see the ads for that, and I don't know if I'll be reading that. I guess I'll read it so that we can show it off on the stream, but
Yeah.
I'm not excited about it.
Not excited about it?
I don't like like continuity heavy stories that are like almost revisionist,
Yeah.
and it hasn't come out yet, but it just like the advertising for it is like, oh, all the important moments of X-Men history continuity, but with Kamala Khan in them. And I'm just like, I'd rather just have news stories about these characters.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry. Back to NYX.
Yeah. It was good.
I like Dupe. Is this the only panel that he's in?
That is literally it.
Dang. Dupe's one
Do
of
you
my
like
favorites.
Mojo?
You know what? I do like Mojo.
Okay, he's in it quite a bit.
He's in it. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Mojo is he's one of my favorite not great villains of the X-Men. Like I don't think he's a good villain, and I think he's like really weird, and
he's really weird.
He's not always in good X-Men comics. Like he's in some pretty bad stories, but I just love how weird he is.
Yeah. just a interdimensional TV
Yeah,
agent.
yeah. But yeah, so all in all, oh, there's Dupe again.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
two
misled
panels.
you.
We got two panels out of him. All right. So yeah, all in all,
Yeah.
pretty. How does the series? Like you said, this was the last issue of this series. How does it compare to the rest of the X-Men books from this new launch? Have you been reading many of them?
I've been reading most of them.
Okay,
That's a good question.
because I kind of dropped off early on.
I'd probably put it in the middle.
Middle, okay.
Somewhere. Let's see. Out of the ones I'm still pretty happy with X-Men and Uncanny X-Men. I think just the X-Men title is probably still my favorite.
Yeah.
But NYX was good. It brought a little bit of variety. You know, it was about
Mm-hmm.
fostering a mutant community in New York.
Yeah.
Kind of. They did the issues that were about that theme were the stronger issues.
Okay. Yeah.
And then
I mean, that's the X-Men.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. While we're on the subject of X-Men, we'll just talk about. I don't actually have a lot to say because I haven't read this. So just a reminder that Weapon X-Men #3 comes out tomorrow. This is another book that has Wolverine and Deadpool in it, and I'm shocked that thought I had the camera on. I'm shocked that Deadpool's not on the cover,
Yeah.
but they do make sure to put his name, Wolverine, Deadpool, and Cable, just so that you know. But I've enjoyed this series. Like I said, I don't want to talk too much about it because I haven't read it, and it's one of those regular issues that I've been talking about every month that it comes out. But it is
that Deadpool panel in that page.
yeah, that's
Why does he pose
like that's a
like
weird
that?
pose because he's Deadpool, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one is good. Some other books that are in my regular poll, we'll just kind of briefly mention them. You know, what do I even need to say that I like GI Joe at this point? I'm only mentioning it because, again, for the last 5 weeks, they've been putting out these silent missions issues for Real American Hero, and they're really, really good. Every single one of them is just fantastic. They're just completely dialogue-free stories about a single character, and they're all done by kind of like top talent, in my opinion. This issue is by Wes Craig, who is one of my favorite creators right now. He's doing that book Kea that I talk about a lot, and yeah, just really, really cool. So very excited that we get more GI Joe here. Also, in my regular poll, The Seasons. I've talked about this one quite a bit. It's sort of like a Studio Ghibli horror comic. You know, I don't remember if you were on a stream where I talked about an issue.
I think I was.
But
it sounded cool. I haven't
yeah,
read it yet.
I do recommend it. The art is it's written by Rick Remender, who's doing a lot of stuff right now. But the art is by Paul Azaceta, who is an artist that I really, really like. And just there's like this mythical element. Kind of a teenage girl main character. Yeah, just really, really good. So looks great, really colorful. Do highly recommend. Also in my poll, I got. I'm not gonna flip through these. Rogue, Savage Land. You know I like X-Men. Let's just get a shot of the cover there. I mean, that's really all you need, right? You got Jungle Babes, you got a saber-toothed tiger and a dinosaur. Like I haven't even opened this comic, and I'm telling you, I love this comic. Also coming out tomorrow, Death of Copra #4. I forget, Sam, were you reading Copra?
I've read up to volume 6 or 7. I haven't touched Death.
Okay,
I'm not
okay.
completely caught up. Yeah.
7, I think, is the last volume before Death of Copra.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, I don't want to flip through it too much, but I can't resist the urge to show off Michel Fifa's art.
I love his art.
It's so great.
Yeah.
It's just one of the best looking comics out there right now. It's so unique. It doesn't look like any other comic. Like when you see this art, you know it's Copra. Oh man, it is so cool. This is, if I'm not mistaken, the penultimate issue of the whole series.
Oh, wow.
He's been self-publishing this series by himself.
Yeah.
And he did 45 issues. That's including some years ago, he did actually publish a few issues through Image before deciding to go back to just doing the issues by himself. And Image puts out the collected editions. and so now he's doing these final 4 issues at Image. So this is Death of Cobra 404, which is issue 49 of the whole series overall, and then there will be a Cobra 50, which will be the final issue for the series. I mean, what a milestone!
Yeah.
Like as an independent writing, drawing, doing everything, and publishing it all himself for the last 10 years. Like that's crazy. So one of my favorite comics out there right now. Highly recommend it. Also, one of my favorite comics out there right now, Savage Sword of Conan. I love me some Conan. I really like that Titan is doing these magazine size Savage Sword comics. Like this is a cool cover.
Yeah.
This is that classic. This is a
Is he biting that?
yeah. This is
my
a scene from the first Conan movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where Conan's been crucified on the Tree of Woe, and he survives by eating a buzzard that tries to kill him or that tries to eat him. Like a buzzard's pecking at him, and he just bites into his neck.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
So yeah, this just cool,
Oh, wow.
just great art. I love that it's all in black and white, printed on newsprint. Usually they got great artists and writers working on it. I did want to point out it's sometimes there's multiple stories in it, and this issue there's a short story in the back by not that one, although that one looks good too. Where is it at? Oh man, here we are. Liam Sharp does this really, really cool looking story in the back. Like Liam Sharp is a really, really great artist, but I really like that he's doing this. He's done some work that I feel is a little too like digitally produced.
Yeah.
Like either with the coloring or just kind of effects that he's doing. And I really like that these are just straight black and white inks on a page.
Yeah.
And it just looks so amazing. Like this is, I guess I should be careful about which page I turn to, but yeah. So definitely, if you enjoy like that type of like classic, magazine pulpy Conan comics, definitely recommend this. All right. Did you get a chance to read this
did
one?
Read Lost Fantasy. Yes.
Excellent. Let's talk about it. This is a new book coming out tomorrow, Lost Fantasy #1. I flipped through this, but I didn't get to read the whole thing. So, Sam, why don't you tell me about it a little bit?
It was pretty cool.
Liked it?
There was an appropriate amount of world building, I think, for the first issue.
Mm-hmm.
That sets up kind of the main character and what he's going to do. He works for, I don't know if it said like explicitly what the organization is called, but they set up that like, well,
yeah, there's right. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Like during Teddy Roosevelt's time.
Yeah, that was actually back here.
Yeah.
Or did I get to that yet? Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah.
That's the like they do that opening scene, and then there's the big lore or like exposition.
2 pages of exposition.
Yeah.
A healthy.
I mean, I didn't mean that to be like it's a lot. I just meant, the pacing of it was like you get your action scene, then you get your like let's take a step back and kind of do some world building, like you said. Yeah, where they set up this. What is it? Like a fantasy monster hunting
like monster
agency,
hunters.
basically. Yeah.
That there's 2 worlds. There's Earth that we know, and then there's Terra below us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where all the monsters come through gateways and stuff like that. And this is a special organization that's tasked with making sure that they don't come over and kill us all.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's like I said, I didn't get a chance to read it. It's a hefty book. Like it's a oversized book. I think it says giant size. There is this cool variant cover, as you can see. Like it's interesting because I look at this and I'm like, okay, this is definitely done in like is an homage to Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
Like with the font there. But I'm like looking at it and I'm like, it's like they made this main cover and they're like, hey, that kind of looks like Final Fantasy VII. Oh, let's just do a Final Fantasy VII homage.
Or maybe they just figured, oh, fantasy's in the title. Why don't we do it?
Yeah. It would trick a bunch of people into thinking that it's a Final Fantasy comic. Hey, it worked on me.
I was surprised you knew the name. You said you don't play a lot of video games.
Hey, Final Fantasy VII is the last Final Fantasy that I played.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't complete it. So, I can't. But I do know it. But you know what? What was that, 1997?
Let's sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
I know a little bit. I know a little bit about video games. But yeah, yeah. So that it looks pretty cool. Monster hunting, fantasy.
If you like those things, you should check it out.
Definitely, definitely. All right. Speaking of monsters, this is just like came up organically.
Yeah.
There are multiple Godzilla comics coming out tomorrow. I picked two of them, but I think there's like three or four actually. But I only grabbed two of them. One of them, real quick, is Godzilla versus America, and this is this anthology series that I really like that IDW is doing. Where, oh my gosh, come on, camera, focus. I don't know what happened here.
That's wild.
Wow, yeah, okay. Well, my camera doesn't want to work, but I really like that this is Godzilla versus Los Angeles, and they've been doing this anthology series where it's Godzilla versus a city, and it's just short stories about Godzilla attacking that city. The last one was Godzilla versus Chicago,
Yeah.
and what's really neat about it is that all the comics in the story are written or drawn by creators from the city. So like the
Cool.
Chicago one was all Chicago-based creators. This one is all LA-based creators. Let's see if my camera's working yet. There we go. Okay. So yeah, this one it's like got four comics in it, four stories in it, and they're all done by LA-based creators. And yeah, it's cool stuff. I like that. It's a lot of it. It's like a mix of like small slice of life stories of just somebody in the city dealing with Godzilla to kind of like weird humorous like alternative comics. There's like a pretty good one in here that's like how to ride the how to use the Los Angeles Metro and survive Godzilla attack, which is kind of fun. But yeah, so I really like that they're doing this. It's a fun idea for an anthology, and I'm looking forward to future issues. Also coming out tomorrow, Godzilla versus Spider-Man, because man, so like IDW, they must be just licensing out the Godzilla franchise like nobody's business. And if we can maybe do a little inside baseball talk, I'm assuming it's because it's one of the last licenses they have besides Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers and Godzilla. Now that now that Image Skybound has Transformers and GI Joe, and they're kicking butt with it. By the way, I feel like IDW is just going all in on Ninja Turtles and Godzilla, and because like we had last year, we had the Justice League versus Godzilla,
Right.
and now Marvel is doing Godzilla versus all of their characters,
Literally
and
everybody.
and they've also announced DC has announced Justice League versus Godzilla too.
What?
So yeah, like it's just like it's just nonstop. But I talked about I think I've talked about the two previous issues. There was Godzilla versus Fantastic Four. Godzilla versus Hulk was last month, and this month is Godzilla versus Spider-Man. And I have to say, I kind of really liked this comic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm kind of like a I'm down on Marvel a lot these days, but it's written by Joe Kelly, who's writing the current new Spider-Man run. Art is by Nick Bradshaw, but I'll tell you what, they totally won me over because this comic is set in like 1985. So right off the bat, we get this like splash page of Spider-Man with the symbiote costume, and you get this beautiful two-page exposition, and it's all just like classic Spider-Man stuff. And like they're referencing Secret Wars 8, Peter Parker Spider-Man number 84, like Peter Parker Spider-Man's dating Black Cat at this point in the continuity, and he dropped out of college. And I'm reading all this, and it was just like a warm blanket of like, oh, this is the familiar Spider-Man for me. This is the Spider-Man that I liked. But it's really good. And then also Godzilla is in it, and I don't want to like spoil where the story goes, but I really really liked that the the 80s setting isn't just an arbitrary thing to just appeal to nostalgic old guys like me. It's actually really important that the it takes place at a time when Spider-Man has the alien symbiote.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, that actually is a very small period of Spider-Man history, like where he has it's before Venom. It's before Venom becomes a thing, and they make a reference to the Godzilla versus Hulk issue which we talked about that one. That one took place in the 70s. So I really like that this is kind of. I didn't realize this was going to be a connected series. Like I thought they were just going to be random one shots,
Yeah.
but it looks like it actually is like a. It's almost taking place in its own little like Marvel continuity, and I'm assuming that it's also taking place in continuity with the 1970s Godzilla series that Marvel published back then. I do really like this variant cover. I guess I'll just put it down here. This Godzilla versus Spider-Man variant, like as you can see, it's done up like the 70s comic. They got the old school logo on there, and it's actually an homage to an issue of Godzilla number 16, which I actually do have that issue. I just forgot to bring it so that we can compare. But so yeah, that's actually like it's. I think it's more interesting to me that they're doing it like that versus the Justice League one, which was basically just the Justice League fights Godzilla. Whereas this one feels like it's a grander story, and Marvel also has their own Godzilla series of continuity to kind of draw on. I need to go back and revisit the Fantastic Four issue that came out 2 months ago because I didn't actually read the whole thing. I flipped through it and I was like, it's art by John Romita Jr. and I don't want to say too much about that, but it didn't draw me in. And I didn't even notice if it was supposed to be set in the 60s, which would make sense if it was set in the 60s because that was also when Fantastic Four launched. So if it actually does, now I'm going to go back and probably appreciate it more if it's like if every issue of this series is like a different decade of Marvel continuity with like a different character dealing with it, like 60s Fantastic Four, 70s Hulk, 80s Spider-Man, and I think the next one is Avengers. So, 90s Avengers. Ooh, that's not a good time for the Avengers.
What was happening to the Avengers around that time?
Oh, that was just a bad time. That was like they were all like the main characters weren't in the Avengers, so it wasn't like Iron Man or Captain America, and like I think he had like the character Thunderstrike had like who like replaced Thor, and they all wore leather jackets. It was not the best time for the Avengers. That's like early '90s Avengers, I guess, but still not the best. But I actually don't know. I'm not doing my due diligence here and finding out what the actual next issue is, so I don't know. I'm kind of making it up as I go along.
If it's
But
90s, I mean X-Men, right? Like
oh, you know what? Oh, that would make more sense. Actually, think of that is the next one. It's I think it is Godzilla versus X Men. Which, if it's the '90s, that would make sense because the X Men were everywhere in the '90s. So, hey, fingers crossed. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it now.
Nice.
Like, I was ready to just like I was kind of reading these just because like a passing interest in Godzilla and Spider Man, but I'm actually kind of really enjoying this, which I did not totally expect. So, yay.
Yay.
Let's see. What else? What else did you have over there?
I had Planet
Oh
Death.
yeah, let's talk about that. I got that right here.
This was pretty cool.
Yeah, this is an issue 0 for the series Planet Death. This is a comic by Bad Idea, who is kind of a notorious, infamous publisher. They put out a lot of weird stuff. They haven't published any issues for a few years, I think. But they, I don't want to. I look up, read up on the history of Bad Idea, and you might get an idea of what I'm talking about. But I don't want to dwell on it too much. But this is a 0 issue. It's a 4-issue series. The issue 1 comes out this summer, I believe. So this is just kind of like a little intro, and the art is by Thomas Giorello, and it is really cool looking.
Very good art for a $2 book.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's the thing is I really like that it's like printed on newsprint. It's almost like an ash can kind of. It's small and it's only $2. But also, I guess should be noted, this is a story from the creator of John Wick, which is Derek Kolstad. And I don't know. What did you read it? Did you like it?
I liked it. I read it. It was cool. It was just enough to pique your interest.
Yeah. Like I said, it's kind of like a preview. I liked the way it operated as like it's like these two soldiers. You kind of see him here. There's this guy he's like prisoner to these aliens, and he's kind of telling the story of what his comrades are going to do to the aliens. Like, here's what we're going to do. The soldiers are coming down. They're going to wipe you out. Yada yada yada. And you kind of see it from his perspective. and then his captor is like, yeah, that's a cool story, but here's what we're gonna do. And then you see it from their perspective of just like they're gonna just slaughter them, and it's basically just like two tough guys just like really talking up like how much they're gonna kill the other one, and it's pretty cool. Like it's, you know what, it's what I expected from the creator of John Wick, honestly. You know, but yeah, I really liked it. Definitely gonna check out the series when it comes out,
Me
and
too.
also for $2, like you said,
Yeah.
can't pass it up for $2. Also coming out tomorrow, let's see, I got 3 books here. We'll save that one for last. Maybe a little tease. We'll briefly mention because I don't have a whole lot to say, and I'm only mentioning that I don't have a whole lot to say because you might think I would have a whole lot to say about Red Sonja versus Army of Darkness. And you know what? I like me some Red Sonja. She is tertiary to Conan the Barbarian, and I love me some Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, Bruce Campbell, Ash Williams. And also, this series is written by Tim Seeley, who is a guy who's just kind of doing everything right now, and I'm a big fan of his. But yeah, this issue didn't totally grab me. I'll probably keep reading it just because, Army of Darkness. But it's basically, it feels kind of a little by the numbers. Like Ash goes back in time to the Army of Darkness period, and Red Sonja is there, and then they kind of fight. I don't know. I guess I don't want to spoil it, but there's some stuff that happens, and yeah, I don't know. It just there's a lot of Army of Darkness comics out there. It's one of those. I feel like a lot of those comics kind of get chalked up into that category of people recognize the title, so somebody's going to license it and just like make a cheap comic and put it out there, and we'll make money on it. There's a lot of creators working on this that I like. Like I said, Tim Seeley is a really good writer, so that's why I was interested in it. But didn't totally grab me. Maybe, hopefully, the second issue will maybe take it in some unexpected directions. We'll see. Did you even like flip through this at all?
So I am not really a fan of Red Sonja, and I'm not really a fan of Army of Darkness, so I didn't touch it. I've the only
Okay.
Army of Darkness. No. The only
Okay.
Evil Dead movie I've seen is the first one.
Okay, Sam. Okay. I mean, I understand not liking Red Sonja. Sure.
No, I not dislike. I just don't.
No, I,
there's
I,
no
I even
relationship.
get not reading it because I really only like Red Sonja just because she comes out of Conan comics,
Yeah, yeah.
But I like don't blame somebody for not wanting to read Red Sonja. But I mean, you've never seen Evil Dead 2
No,
or Army of Darkness?
no.
Oh my goodness, Sam. Oh my goodness. I mean, okay, okay.
I get that a lot.
Yeah, I'll bet you do. I mean, they're two of the greatest movies ever made.
Whoa.
And I'm not. I don't think I'm being hyperbolic when I say that. Like, Evil Dead 2 is really important. It's a very unique horror comedy,
Yeah.
and Army of Darkness is also just really funny and stupid. And it's like it's almost like they made a bad B movie on purpose. But like
Yeah.
before, it was cool to do that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense.
So yeah, it's great. Okay, let's talk about something that I do know you know something about.
Yes.
Wolverine and Kitty Pryde #1. Did you read this issue?
I did.
All right. Well, I haven't read it.
Okay.
So I'm going to need you to sell me on it. I haven't read this. I'm still going to buy it though without having read it because this is one of those what I've been referring to as retro continuity books where Marvel will bring in like an old creator, in this case, Chris Claremont,
Right.
one of the most not actually I rescind what I was about to say. He is not one of the most. He is the most important creator to have ever worked on the X-Men. And that's,
without a doubt.
I say that even more important than Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, who created the X-Men.
Yeah.
I think Chris Claremont is the most important a creator of any type. John Byrne's close in there, but anyway, the point is, I'm getting off topic here. I like that Marvel brings in. They've done several X-Men like retro books where they let him write it, and some of them are okay, some of them are less than okay. I like some of them just because I just appreciate, like that Rogue book. That's not by Chris Claremont, but that's one of those retro, Rogue Savage Land. That's one of those retro continuity books where they're just like, oh, that's written by Tim Seeley. That's the guy that I'd say who writes everything. He's wrote that Army of Darkness Red Sonja comic that I was like, eh. He's also writing that Rogue Savage Land, which I said was my favorite comic, even though I hadn't even opened it. It's another one of those books where it's like this story takes place in between these issues from 1988 and 1989, and it's like for old guys like me, or just like I just want to read stories set in the old version of the characters. This is one of those. This Wolverine and Kitty Pryde. This is a sequel, a 30-year after the fact sequel to the first Wolverine and Kitty Pryde series that Chris Claremont wrote back in 84-ish, I want to say.
It says it in the book.
Oh, it does.
It's
Oh,
either
okay.
84 or 85. I can't
Yeah, it's
remember.
84. It's the first Wolverine and Kitty Pryde series was a sequel to his first Wolverine series, which was drawn by Frank Miller, and that one was 82, I believe. And so, yeah, this was kind of a follow up to that, and that was the series that really established Wolverine as like the perennial father figure to young girls. And it's because it's a fun, like it's like an odd couple pairing,
Right.
you have the gruff old loner and the cheerful teenage girl who, and it's a classic version of the characters, Wolverine and Kitty Pryde, and it's a really really cool comic. It's a good comic. But like I said, I haven't read this new one, so I guess I have two questions for you, Sam.
Yes.
First, have you read the original one?
The one from 85?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I was not lost though.
Okay, though, so that was my
Yeah.
second. So you haven't read the original one, but you did read this one. So what did you think?
There was just enough introduction to what had happened in the previous series that I was like, oh, okay, I'm completely caught up. It didn't dwell on it or meander too long. Just gets you right to speed very quick.
Okay.
It's a good story that focuses on both of those characters and kind of like focuses on their strengths. I really liked how they depict Wolverine as kind of like a stern teacher in this one, because like Wolverine is kind of viewed as like this savage, and like he's like a mentor in Japan, like that he's like in a different element in that environment.
That was the period where Chris Claremont really broadened Wolverine's character. Up until that point, he was the like mindless berserker, and then when the X-Men went to Japan, and Claremont gave him this whole history of like, oh, he was like worked for the Yakuza and was basically like a Ronin samurai, and he's not just a crazy berserker warrior. He's like a trained soldier, and it was that really is what kind of established the dichotomy of his character of like the man versus beast kind of a thing. Like he's a berserker monster murder machine, but he's also like a trained soldier who's trying to control it. So that makes sense, him being in like the teacher role. So you liked it, even having not read the first one.
It was cool.
Well, I'm looking forward to reading it. Like I said, I really like this cover too. This is by Alan Davis, I believe. Am I? Oh man, I wish I would have. Yeah, Alan Davis. And that's another one of those things where it's like Marvel. It's meant to appeal to the old guys, so they bring in Alan Davis, who was drawing X-Men comics in the '80s, and I'm like, I really wish that he was just drawing the whole thing, but like I get why they're not doing that. But still, Marvel's been pushing it a little bit more than some of the other like retro continuity books Claremont has done. He did like several Wolverine ones over the last couple of years, and I don't think I even bothered talking about them on the stream. They're just not the best, but I'm just glad that Claremont is getting work, as I've talked about that before too. Like these kind of books, there's a lot of guys like me that we're gonna buy them regardless because we see it as like a old comic book creators retirement fund of like just give him some work and I'll buy it, and then I'll know that he's getting paid.
Good.
So, and we all feel good about it. So but this one actually sounds like it's pretty good. Cool. Well, I'll definitely read it, and by the time issue 2 comes out, I'll probably have more to say. All right, final issue that we're going to talk about today. I talked about issue 1 twice for this series because they did a they put out issue 1 and I talked about it a little bit, and then they put out a second printing and I talked about it some more. Now issue 2 is coming out. I'm talking about We're Taking Everyone Down With Us. This is by I believe his name is Matt Rosenberg is the writer, and artist is Landini. Am I saying that correctly? Stefano Landini. Yep. I really liked this first issue. Did you look at this one at all,
I
Sam?
haven't touched it.
Ooh, okay. Well, I definitely recommend you read this. The first issue was the story unfolded really, really well, where the main character is like this guy. He's a scientist, and he's like doing super secret work on like this island, and he's got his daughter living with him, and they got all these robot servants that are kind of taking care of her, and she's kind of like isolated of like, oh, I never get to see my dad. I have to work with all these robots. They're the only ones that play with me. And then basically James Bond shows up on the island, and you find out that the guy is like a supervillain, and he's like trying to protect his daughter
Oh, that sounds
from
awesome.
yes. And so there's like it's a nice twist, and this issue introduces like a kind of like a supervillain team.
Not literal James Bond.
No, not literal James Bond. I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess these days where everything is like crossing over with everything, I do have to specify it's not literally James Bond, but it's like it's not a superhero, but he's like a secret agent, like a
Okay.
super secret agent.
009.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this issue, I really am enjoying this issue too. It's taking on a little bit more of a comedic tone, and I hesitate to make this comparison, but I think if anybody who's familiar with it will know what I mean. Is that it gave me like a little bit of Venture Brothers vibes,
Whoa.
where it's not like full on satire, like just absurdist satire making fun of the genre, but like it's a little humorous. Like there's like a whole bit here about how this villain doesn't have his cloak, and his assistant is like, "No, you look fine without. You don't need the cloak. Like you're fine." And then they go outside and it's raining, and he's like, "I really wish I had my cloak," you know. But yeah, it's really good, and like the story unfolds really nicely, where um, you have like the James Bond organization. I forget what the name is, and but they're after this supervillain guy because he's working on some top secret, super weapon. Probably they don't really say what it is. And then there's the supervillain organization that's like, well, we don't want them to get him either, but and they all have their own relationships with him. Like some like him, some don't like him, and
Yeah.
it's really cool. I like the setting a lot. The tone like hits it just right, where it's having a little fun with it, but it's not like I said, it's not like just played for laughs. Like there's a little bit of like it's taking it seriously, so it's not just silly to be silly. Whereas like Venture Brothers kind of goes in that territory,
Right.
and I love Venture Brothers. It's like one of my favorite things ever. But it definitely is like a silly just to be silly kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I feel like this is a little bit more serious, but it definitely gave me a little bit of Venture Brothers vibes.
Huh.
So if you haven't looked at it yet, highly, highly recommend it.
I will check it out.
Excellent. Well, that's everything that we got for today. So yeah, like I said, not as much as previous weeks, but there's still some choice comics coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So like, what does our friend Dan say? There's comics out there for everybody. I never remember what he says. It's been like a year since Dan has been on the screen. There's comics out there for everybody. It's not just superheroes and such. There's something out there. So go out and buy comics, but you should definitely come to Fantasy Books and Games and get them, because you can talk to people like me and Sam. We love talking about comics. All right. Any final words, Sam?
No, that'll be it. I mean, I guess to just add on to that, it's comics for everyone. It's like it's a literary medium.
That's right.
Yeah. It's.
But also, I feel like no, that'll be it is a good epitaph for you. All right, everybody. We'll see you. Bye.